On November 5th, 1975, Travis Walton, pictured here, was in Snowflake, Arizona. He was driving back from a day of logging with 6 other people in a truck. Uh, they saw a bright light in the sky. It was only slightly less than 100 feet away, and they pulled over to see what it was and realized it was a flying saucer. So they watched it for a few minutes, and Travis recklessly exited the truck and got quite close to the flying saucer. And his friends tried to get him to return to the truck, but he went against their wishes, and he's hit with a beam. His friends promptly drove away, and here's a brief description of one of the people who was in the car there, in the truck that day, and here's what he says.
I realized that our friend was back there, that I'd left him there. So I stopped the truck, and several of them didn't want that at all. And I says, well, we have to go back. He could be hurt. Obviously is hurt, and we can help him. We went back to the site. The thing was gone. Travis was gone. So we thought maybe he wandered off somewhere. So we conducted a hand-in-hand search, you might say. 6 grown men walking around in the woods, about as close to each other as they could get. We decided that without being able to find him, we would have to do something. What would we do? All we could think of was go to the authorities.
So from there, they went to the authorities, and the authorities stated they seemed gravely concerned. They seemed authentic. And the following day, they did a massive search for him. And the authorities, a few days later, they took all 6 of the loggers who were working with Travis, working with him, took a polygraph test, and they all passed. And unfortunately, they were still under an umbrella of suspicion. And Travis was gone for 5 days. And during that 5 days, at one point, he became conscious and actually interacted with aliens to a certain degree. And here's a brief clip on that, if we can get this on the screen here, and hopefully this.
Maybe I was in a hospital or something, and I've been hurt. I was standing in front of those things that were coming towards me, and they stopped there and they stood there looking at me. These huge eyes just seemed to just look right through me. I didn't get any impression of emotion. It was a very detached sort of just observing sort of thing, but it seemed like they could see everything I was thinking and feeling. Very disturbing feeling to feel so exposed.
Travis then, Travis exited that room right after the aliens did, and he walked down a corridor, and he went into a room and pushed some buttons, and a stargaze on a chair that was in that room, and a stargaze that was in front of him went back and forth. And then he was actually approached by another extraterrestrial, which is more human-like. If I can get this one on the screen quick, Ro. And there it is. There he goes down the hall there.
There was a lever there, and when I moved that, the star pattern appeared to move. That kind of disoriented me for a minute because, it felt like I was moving kind of for a second because this was, to have everything suddenly shift like that. But I figured I'd better quit messing with that. that time surmised that I was in some sort of craft and connected it to what had happened before and figured I might crash this thing or something. This person was not like these humanoid creatures that I'd seen earlier. This looked like a human being, looked like a man in a blue uniform. I went up to him thinking, that I was being rescued, that I was being saved. That this was a person, I started asking all kinds of questions.
Where am I? Where are we? I mean, who are those things that I saw?
Went through some doors, down a hallway, to another room.
From there, he came into contact with 3 other aliens, 2 men and a girl, and they put him on a chair and they rendered him unconscious with the use of an oxygen mask. And from that point on, he doesn't have any memory of what else would happen there. And he was missing for 5 days. He was dropped off near a highway. And let's see if I can get a... And that's a good picture of him. He appeared on Larry King Live once. And after he was missing for 5 days, after being dropped off, he went to a payphone by the flying saucer. He went to a payphone and called Collect Home, and was picked up by his brother. And the people who originally thought they had the police officers who thought they had injured or murdered Travis were cleared of anything. And as time went forward, he wrote a book about his experience called The Walton Experience, and in 1993 a movie was made. And this is really the most prominent case. Now, he did win a $5,000 prize for the National Enquirer for the best UFO story. I think he had to split that with all his the other loggers there. But out of the Betty and Barney Hill case, this is the most prominent one, and the Betty and Barney Hill one is second in terms of popularity. And if you ever watch shows about flying saucers, you'll see Travis. And here's a clip of he appears on the show Larry King Live.
There were 7 of us. It was starting to get dark. We loaded up our chainsaws and...
You were a logger, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we were headed home. As we were leaving there, we saw a light coming through the trees. And when we finally got down the road to where we could see the source of this light, we saw a UFO hovering near the road.
All 7 of you?
All 7 of us. It was only 90 feet away. It was very clear and unmistakable. The minute it came into view, somebody yelled, it's a spaceship, or something like that. We stopped the truck, and I got out and went toward it.
Not just you, not the other 6?
Not the other 6. They were yelling at me to get back in the truck and get away from there.
Good thinking.
Yeah, it would have been. Anyway.
And there's Travis giving a brief explanation of how they came into how they first saw the flying saucer at around treetop level right after they got work. And this took place in, like I said earlier, in Snowflake, Arizona. And it was on November, the exact date, November 5th, 1975. And it's quite a case. And hopefully everything uploaded okay, and you could be able to hear the audio and see the pictures good enough to where if you've heard this case before, it'll be a quick flashback. Or if you haven't heard of it, it's a good introduction. And let's see if I can get hopefully everything uploaded okay. And